Hey, folks, welcome to InTheMoneyStocks.com's intraday analysis video, brought to you by the creators of proprietary price, pattern, and time methodology. Learn the PPT strategies and profit for life. My name is Gareth Soloway, Chief Market Strategist here at InTheMoneyStocks.com, as we get into the action here on this Thursday, February 20th, 2014. First and foremost, markets trading around the highs of the day. Interestingly enough, we're right into a little bit of a pivot point right here from yesterday. So yesterday, we had that lunchtime fall on the back of the IMF coming out and saying global growth may not be as good. Also, a Fed official came out and said maybe raising rates by kind of mid 2015 was a possibility. That's why we saw this kind of lunchtime sell off. Then you had a reflex bounce back into the Fed minutes before more selling continued. And that's exactly where we are. We just hit that level, pulling back just a little bit from it, and it'll be interesting to see how it trades into the end of the day. But right off the bat, folks, a nice recovery. You got to give this market credit. I'm the first person to give it credit, even though overall I think the markets are going to head lower. You got to like that the fact market can bounce back here and still, kind of hold its mentality together, hold its gains together. Yesterday an ugly sell-off, more so because it was from the highs and the double top of the market, or right up here, and I think that's what we got to remember. This is actually the all-time high on the SPY, which mirrors the exact high from January 15th, 2014. So January 15th was on the spiders. The high was 184.95, and yesterday 184.95 exactly hit here. So that kind of reversal is usually pretty powerful, but you got to give the markets again credit for coming back pretty strong today. And again, essentially erasing yesterday's downside move. And if you look at where we closed on Tuesday, right? Tuesday was right here, Wednesday's yesterday, Thursday today. We're actually almost identically at that same level. So a couple little things of interest there that I think are interesting to maneuver and continue to watch. Where do I think this market's going the rest of the day? As of now, the volume's dead, 69.8 million shares, so they could float this market up a little bit more. Nothing keeping it from doing that. One thing to note here, we have Priceline earnings after the bell today. I think that's the main company that is reporting, and that stock's actually just gone positive by about $8 here. It's a nice move here, really nice move to the upside. You can see it was selling off early after yesterday kind of coming in, and now it's recovered really nicely to head back up. So I'm going to be very curious to see where this thing goes into earnings. If we go to the daily chart, let's flip over to the daily chart here. The daily chart's near its 52-week highs. It's pulled back a little bit off that 1300 level. Overall, do I think the stock's overvalued? Yeah, I mean, I think anyone looking at the chart in a longer time frame, if we go to the weekly, for instance, right here, the stock, again, just last year was 600 bucks, so it's doubled just in the last year. If I zoom out a little bit more to the monthly chart, you can see where this thing was back in '09. It was under $100. Now it's $1,300. It's a 1,300% gain in that amount of time. And I'm not saying the company's not a great company. I mean, it's amazing. They make great, lots and lots of money. But I think at some point the valuation is going to get too rich for this company. Be interesting to see if that happens today. All right, is it smart to trade it into earnings and hold it into earnings? No, it's not. So you sit back, you let it, kind of flush out or rise based on earnings, and then you reevaluate whether or not there's a shorting opportunity. I would say if it rallies on earnings and jumps another 100 points or so, maybe gets close to the 1500 marker over the next week or two, at that point I might decide to inch in. If it falls today on earnings, which I think is a fair possibility, I'm still going to just step back and not do anything. I mean, if it falls, gives me a bear flag over the next week or two, then I look at a shorting opportunity. Okay, so those are just a couple things to look at. If we go back to the SPY here, folks, this is the weekly or monthly SPY. We want to go back to the daily chart. There it is. Markets again, just take a look. I mean, enough said, right? You had the big fall right here, the big reversal, which was just as quick as the fall, and then yesterday the sell-off right here with a reversal right there today. So, I mean, this market to me is kind of in the middle of not knowing where it wants to go. That's kind of the sense that I'm getting. I don't know what you guys are feeling, but yesterday again, you looked like you were going to have a good sell-off, maybe continuation today, and then today the markets are able to reverse. So what it tells me is there's a lot of buy the dippers. All right, buy the dippers is the term that you use to the average investor who continues to pile money into this market. Margin levels continue to be at all-time highs, which is the amount of money being borrowed to buy stocks, and that eventually tells us there will be a flush out. But it's just a matter of timing now. Will it be tomorrow? Will it be next week? Will it be next month? Will it be next year? Kind of thing. And that's what we as traders have to kind of isolate down, especially as swing traders more than anything. Okay? So again, just 70 million traded on the SPY. It is about 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Spiders up $1.27 on the day, so that's a decent gain. That's about 0.7%. S&P 500 up 12 points. Dow up 118. Nasdaq up about 27 on the day. All right. A couple other stocks to take note of today. Apple. Let's look at Apple here, folks. Let me bring up Apple AAPL. And Apple's continuing to be weak, guys. And I gave this trade out, and I continue to like it on the downside to the 20 MA. It's actually almost a target right now. But again, just remember this. Here was your gap fill from before earnings. There's your drop on earnings. Here's your retrace. There it goes right there, and that's your shorting opportunity. All right, so that's just a great way to handle it. A little bit of a sell coming in the markets now as the markets are dipping back down. So kind of interesting to see that. We'll see again how it plays into the end of the day, but markets are coming back in. I just saw the VXX spike up a little bit, so that just tells me that the markets are coming in just a little bit. If we flip back to the intraday and just go back to that, it's easier to see it. But look at that little reversal candle. So this is actually interesting on the spiders because this is the key pivot from the Fed meeting yesterday. And notice how we just hit that and then quickly sold off of it. Now, this doesn't mean a hill of beans unless we take out the low in the 20 MA. If you can close on this 10-minute candle below that 20 MA, then there starts to be some bigger issues in this market. Then you would say, all right, this is something that I need to pay attention to. That could be a bigger signal. So there are a bunch of little things going on here that are worthy of watching, and I continue to look at them very, very closely. All right, a couple other charts out there. Let's take a look at JP Morgan Chase today. Stock had an ugly day yesterday, just a big, big sell-off. You can see, I think it was down, well over $1 yesterday. Stock is bouncing back decently, but overall, considering the markets are at their highs of the day or just off their highs of the day today, you have to say that JPM's having a pretty poor performance. So yes, it's up 40 cents, which is 0.7%, which technically is in line with the S&P. But look at a majority of that gain was early here in the day on that surge, and then since then it's kind of fallen back a little bit and is actually looking like it could be breaking below these moving averages. So little things like this, for me at least, they're definitely kind of a heads-up type scenario. It's something that I jump on and I say, whoa, wait a minute, is there something bigger that I need to pay attention to? All right, a couple other stocks out there. Amazon's been very weak of late, and sure enough, today it's getting a little bit of a bounce. If we flip over to the daily chart, you can see the weakness, and there honestly continues to be a bearish pattern on that daily. So big drop here, really a 2-bar surge based on the earnings announcement, crushing it down to about the 340, 330 level. Then it's bounced and chopped sideways, but I still think this gets to the 200. Whether it's this week, next week, or next month, this is going to the 200 at some point. Okay, especially as the 20 starts to come into price here. It's still a little ways away from price, but every day that'll inch lower, and that'll work kind of like a printing press or a press getting pushed down on those grapes or whatever it is to smush out all the liquid into that and push it down even more. So that's what I would anticipate there, folks, and I will be watching that very, very carefully in the coming days. Once it gets to the 200, is there a chance for a buying opportunity? I'll reevaluate at that point. There is a level here, a gap fill right above that, and a little consolidation area right in here, which is good support. But then you have to wonder if it could go down to this gap fill just below here, right around the 310-ish level or so. So maybe on a flush in the market, it gets down there next time, and at that point, you look at a bouncing opportunity. So, I mean, there are a bunch of different possibilities here, and we'll just kind of play it by ear in the short term. Okay? What else do we have here? Let's see. GM. Oh, Tesla. We should talk about Tesla. So Tesla's up about 10% today. It is off its highs. I think yesterday after hours it got as high as like 225 or so, and it's trading around 212, 213 right now. They basically announced good earnings yesterday after the bell. On the other side, Walmart announced bad earnings. That stock's taking a beating today, down about 1.67%, and that's down $1.25 on the day. So you've had some good news from Tesla, which is kind of like a specialty motor play, and then some bad news from the retailer, the kind of the cheaper retailer there, Walmart, on the earnings there yesterday. What else do we have to look forward to? Well, we're coming into Friday. We'll get some economic numbers tomorrow morning, but I think more than anything, just going back to the SPY, and let's bring the SPY back up, I think it all is going to come down to the price action. I know it seems weird that, the economics of things might not matter, but what we're really just following at this stage of the game is I would follow this pivot high, which is just a step one, right? Step one there. And if it gets taken out, then you're watching for the all-time highs. The all-time highs are what means more in this market. That really means quite a bit. If you take out the all-time highs, then to me, this market could have a little bit of upside. Wouldn't be a lot of upside, but a little bit. I'd have to give it that, benefit of the doubt, if you will, that you could go up another 1 or 2, 3% from that level. As long as we stay in the current range, below that high and don't close above it, don't confirm above it, then I'm going to continue to be in that neutral to negative bias, which kind of means to me that I generally expect to wake up one morning to the futures down 30 points on the S&P and, all hell breaking loose kind of around the globe again and kind of that freak out effect. So, little things like that are important and we'll just follow them very closely. Right now, again, the SPY pulled beautifully off that little pivot high from yesterday right into the Fed meeting, the Fed minutes, I should say, and now we're kind of bouncing back up a little bit. Market seems to be stuck on light volume here. Notice the 20 MA kind of cushioning it. You got this trend line keeping it tabs on it. Which way is it going to break short term? If you break to the upside, you're going back to double top. If you break to the downside, minimal downside to these moving averages right down here. Okay, that's about it, really, to be honest. That's really all there is. Okay, on that note, folks, I'm going to step aside. It's always a pleasure to be with you. Come join us at InTheMoneyStocks.com. Trade alerts galore, guys. We're going to be putting some more out in the coming days. Be ready for them, profit from them. Let's make money. Bottom line. Take care.